Hi there, and thanks for clicking on the video. So today we're going to be looking at push-pull steering, commonly known as feeding the wheel. It can take a lot of practice to get used to this type of steering, so the best idea is start off in a quiet car park practicing this technique. Start with your right hand at the top of the wheel, ready to steer right. Pulling down to the right, letting the wheel slide through your left hand until they meet to the bottom, pushing up with your left hand, and then back down with your right hand to add more steering on. When you need to straighten, push up with your right hand, letting it slide through your left hand, pulling down with your left hand until they meet to the bottom, pushing up with your right hand until the wheel's straight, and then return your hands to their normal position. Now for a left turn, left hand starts at the top of the wheel, pulling down with the left hand until they meet at the bottom, pushing up with the right hand to add more steering on, pushing up with the left hand to straighten, and then down with the right hand until they meet at the bottom, returning the wheel to the straight position and putting your hands back to their normal position. While push-pull steering is not essential for the UK driving test, it does have many benefits. One of the main benefits is it keeps your left hand to the left side of the wheel and your right hand to the right side of the wheel, so there should be no crossing over of your hands. This means the middle of the wheel is never blocked, which is important as the airbag is in the middle. If the airbag goes off and your arms are crossed, you'll get quite serious injuries. The other benefit is the steering is often much smoother and looks much more professional, which is going to impress your examiner on your driving test. And when just driving along generally, good tip is to keep your thumbs on the outside of the wheel rather than wrapped around like this. If you have them wrapped around the wheel like this, it's likely you're going to hold the wheel too tight, which is going to make it very hard to control the steering. You want to hold the wheel like you would a raw egg. And if you held a raw egg too tightly, of course, it would crack and break. If you hold it too softly, you would drop the egg. So you want to hold the wheel like a raw egg, not too hard, not too soft. If you're gripping onto the wheel for dear life, you're gripping it so tight that egg would just explode in your hand. The problem is, when you go to change gears, this right hand becomes so tight, as soon as this left hand comes off, you'll wobble. So you could have something like that. That may have happened to you on your driving lessons if you're gripping the wheel too tight. You just want to relax your grip. If you do feel you're gripping the wheel too tight, as well as having your thumbs on the outside of the wheel, also just try relaxing your fingers a bit, just moving your fingers a bit, just to try and relax your hands. Now I think a lot of people grip the wheel too tight as they feel it gives them more control, but this is often the complete opposite, and it gives you less control, as the car will naturally want to stay straight when you're driving. And I'll demonstrate it here just for a few seconds. I'm going to temporarily take my hands off the wheel. So you'll see there, the car stayed straight. So if the car is steering, it's you steering the car. Try to keep your hands at a relaxed position on the wheel, so your shoulders are nice and relaxed in the back of your seat. So avoid holding the wheel like this, as by doing this you'll probably feel tension on your left shoulder, and then if you try to relax your hands, you'll start to drift off to one side. Equally the same here, if you're like this, you might feel tension in your shoulders, and if you try to relax your hands, you'll start to drift and you'll be wobbling all over the place, having to constantly do corrections. By keeping your hands level and your shoulders are level in your relaxed position, you'll find the car should more naturally stay in a straight line. You could have your hands either where I've got them here. Some people prefer to have them slightly lower, it's fine, or slightly higher, maybe there. Depends what your preference is. I prefer to have them about this position here normally. The one thing to avoid as well with steering is don't let the wheel straighten itself after you've done a turn. So let's say you've turned in to a side road on the left, avoid letting the car do that. As you might have seen now, I have to put some more input into the steering as it is about to oversteer and go up the curb. Or if, for example, you hit a pothole and you're not holding the wheel, you're going to lose complete control of the car and it's just going to veer off to one side, potentially into the footpath, into a pedestrian. One time it can be more beneficial to use one hand for steering is when you're reversing, and it's actually in the highway code that when reversing you can have one hand at the top of the wheel and your other hand round the passenger seat to aid with your observations, your rear view observations like this.